What if I told you that both Nostradamus and The Simpsons predicted the same shocking event in the year 2026? As unbelievable as it sounds, a 16th century prophet and a modern-day cartoon seem to align on something massive looming in our near future. Nostradamus, famous for his cryptic and poetic prophecies, has long been connected to world-changing events, from wars and natural disasters to political upheaval. Many dismiss his writings as vague or coincidental until some of them came frighteningly true. And then there's The Simpsons, a satirical animated series that, time and again, has stunned the world with its strangely accurate predictions. From Donald Trump's presidency to global pandemics, smartwatches, and economic collapse, the show's track record is nothing short of eerie. Now, both Nostradamus' mysterious verses and several Simpsons episodes appear to point toward one year, 2026. Could this be a coincidence? Or are these warnings we fail to take seriously? In this video, we explore the strange and unsettling links between ancient prophecy and pop culture foresight, and why the year 2026 may be more important than we think. Part 1. The Prophet's Legacy. Nostradamus, born Michel de Nostradamus in 1503, was a French astrologer, physician, and reputed seer who published his most famous work, Les Prophecies, in 1555. This book contains a series of quatrains, 4-line poems, that many believe contain coded messages about future events. His writings are mysterious, full of symbolism, metaphor, and open-ended interpretations. Over the centuries, people have claimed that Nostradamus predicted everything from the Great Fire of London to the rise of Hitler, the French Revolution, 9/11, and even the COVID-19 pandemic. Whether through metaphor or miracle, his work has continued to fascinate scholars and conspiracy theorists alike. One of the most compelling aspects of Nostradamus' work is how adaptable his prophecies are to different periods. While skeptics argue this flexibility weakens their credibility, believers see it as proof of their timeless relevance. And in recent years, attention has turned towards several quatrains that appear to point toward a significant event occurring in or around the year 2026. These verses reference celestial disturbances, global conflict, famine, and the fall of powerful nations. While the language remains cryptic, the imagery is deeply unsettling. What did Nostradamus see in the year 2026? Some believe that Nostradamus foresaw a period of global transformation, a moment when long-standing powers collapse and new forces rise. One frequently cited quatrain refers to a new monarch born near the old, which some interpret as the rise of a young leader or movement that challenges established authority. Another mentions blood in the streets of 5 cities, possibly alluding to widespread civil unrest, economic crisis, or war. There's also mention of a famine under a false peace, which analysts believe could reference modern global instability masked by diplomatic calm, a warning that conflict may erupt when least expected. Combined with signs of ecological strain and technological overreach, these verses paint a picture of a world on the edge, adding another layer to mystery. Some researchers point to astronomical alignments that Nostradamus may have used as markers for timing his predictions. In 2026, several rare planetary configurations are set to occur, events that ancient astrologers might have viewed as signals of major upheaval. Some astrologers believe that a solar eclipse combined with specific planetary alignments will usher in a wave of transformation, both spiritual and political. Whether or not one believes in astrology, it's hard to deny that the world is hurtling toward a time of great uncertainty. Furthermore, Nostradamus often spoke of a third great war involving fire, sky weapons, and devastation unlike anything before. Modern readers can't help but connect this to fears of nuclear escalation or AI-driven conflict. The eerily prescient nature of his quatrains, even if vague, resonates with today's geopolitical instability. Whether Nostradamus truly predicted 2026 as a year of reckoning remains a subject of debate. But one thing is clear. As the date approaches and global tensions rise, his words are being read not as relics of the past, but as urgent messages of the present. Part 2. Decoding 2026, Nostradamus' Dark Vision. Among the many predictions attributed to Nostradamus, several are believed to center around a mysterious convergence of disasters in the mid-2020s. A particular quatrain that's drawn attention reads, "The great star will burn for 7 days. The cloud will cause 2 suns to appear. The big mastiff will howl all night. when the Great Pontiff changes his abode. Many interpret this as referencing a celestial event, possibly an asteroid, comet, or intense solar flare, combined with political or religious upheaval. The two suns may represent a vision of a massive solar event or technological failure that affects global communications or power systems, possibly causing satellites or power grid to collapse. One striking possibility that modern theorists raise is the idea of a Carrington-level solar storm, an extreme space weather event that could cripple satellites, internet infrastructure, aviation, and even water and food distribution systems. If such a flare lasted days, it could simulate the appearance of two suns and cause worldwide panic. It's not just poetic flair, it's grounded in scientific risk assessments by space agencies around the globe. Another cryptic quatrain mentions fire from the sky, flooded lands, and the lion and the eagle clashing in the east. These vivid symbols have led many analysts to draw parallels with current world tensions. Some interpret the lion as a United Kingdom or European power and the eagle as a United States, suggesting confrontation with Eastern powers such as China or Russia. Others see this as an allusion to rising conflict zones in Asia or the Middle East, where global interests are beginning to clash more openly than ever. These verses aren't exact predictions. They are poetic, symbolic, and open to interpretation. But the more we look around the world today, the more those symbols begin to feel real. The fire from the sky could represent drone strikes or hypersonic missiles. Flooded lands resonate eerily with the intensifying natural disasters caused by climate change. These verses aren't exact predictions. They are poetic, symbolic, and open to interpretation. But the more we look around the world today, the more those symbols begin to feel real. The fire from the sky could represent drone strikes or hypersonic missiles. Flooded lands resonate eerily with the intensifying natural disasters caused by climate change, from torrential rains to sea level rise displacing millions. In addition, global cyber threats and AI-driven warfare now blur the lines between science fiction and modern military strategy. A well-executed cyber attack could mimic the confusion and panic Nostradamus' words seem to describe. The big mastiff howling all night could be seen as the echo of unrest spreading across nations via digital protests, blackouts, or AI misfires that spiral out of human control. And what of the Great Pontiff? Some believe this refers to a change in religious authority or a spiritual reckoning. With the Vatican making increasingly bold political statements and religious institutions across the world facing credibility crises, the idea of a spiritual shakeup no longer seems far-fetched. Could Nostradamus have foreseen a perfect storm, a convergence of war, environmental catastrophe, political upheaval, and cosmic disruption, all coming to a head in 2026? That's what many researchers now fear. His verses, once dismissed as medieval superstition, now sound like warnings echoing across centuries, perhaps urging us to pay attention before fate turns prophecy into reality. Part 3. The Simpsons, more than just a cartoon. When The Simpsons first aired in 1989, no one could have predicted that a cartoon about a dysfunctional American family would become one of the most powerful pop culture predictors of all time. Yet, over the decades, The Simpsons has gained notoriety for eerily accurate forecasts of real-world events. In 2000, the show aired an episode titled Bart to the Future, which imagined Lisa Simpson becoming president of the United States, inheriting a broken economy from former President Donald Trump. This episode aired over 15 years before Trump's actual presidency. Other examples include predictions of the Ebola outbreak, the invention of smartwatch, Disney acquiring Fox, and even the tragic Titan submarine disaster. It's led many to believe that either the writers have uncanny insight, or they are part of a larger pattern we're only beginning to understand. What makes it even more mysterious is a casual way these predictions appear, often as background jokes or quick visual gags. Could these seemingly silly moments be windows into a deeper, stranger truth? Consider how many predictions start as comedy sketches but later mirror reality. The 9/11 foreshadowing with the $9 magazine and the Twin Towers in the background, the Higgs boson equation scribbled on a chalkboard long before it was discovered, or the invention of autocorrect in FaceTime, all were seen on The Simpsons before they became part of everyday life. It's as if the show is absorbing cultural trends and projecting them years ahead of time. Even more astonishing is how specific some predictions have become. In one episode, The Simpsons hinted at an economic crisis caused by inflation and AI, two forces that now dominate headlines. Another episode depicted people fleeing cities due to rising temperatures and social unrest, eerily echoing our post-pandemic world. And now, with growing attention around its references to the year 2026, fans wonder if another era prediction is unfolding right before our eyes. What makes this all the more captivating is how The Simpsons have become more than a mirror. It's almost like a time capsule from the future. In an era where information is fragmented and attention spans are shrinking, this animated series continues to echo some of the most critical developments shaping our world. Could it be that its longevity and cultural penetration have allowed it to tap into a collective subconscious? Some believe The Simpsons is simply excellent at picking up on unnoticed details and trends, and that by filtering them through satire, they expose truths we've ignored or underestimated. Could The Simpsons be more than entertainment? Could it be a modern-day oracle hiding profound truths in plain sight, masked by laughter? Some experts suggest that this isn't magic, it's observation at its finest. The creators of The Simpsons are not fortune tellers, but astute cultural commentators. They study politics, science, tech trends, and human behavior. Their foresight, whether intentional or not, is a product of intelligence and perhaps a little intuition. But the question remains, what are they showing us next? Part 4, the 2026 Simpsons Theory. And it's not just a year of visuals that stir curiosity, it's the themes. In many of these episodes, we see subtle critiques of modern life, over-reliance on machines, breakdowns in global leadership, environmental collapse, and cultural apathy. These aren't just far-off sci-fi ideas. They mirror headlines we're reading right now. The 2026 references aren't dropped for dramatic effect. They're embedded in these storylines as part of a larger social commentary, which is what makes them so compelling and unsettling. Let's take another eerie moment from the show. The episode where Springfield experiences a blackout due to an overloaded energy grid, leading to chaos. That storyline echoes real concerns experts have voiced about the growing vulnerability of modern infrastructure. As our power demands rise, especially with AI, crypto mining, and electric transportation, the possibility of large-scale failures feels more realistic than ever. And when The Simpsons plant such ideas in a comedic setting, the impact hits differently. You laugh first, then you wonder. Another example is their commentary on social disconnection in an age of hyperconnectivity. Episodes depicting characters glued to screens, families drifting apart despite being digitally connected, and automation replacing human workers all ring painfully true today. These aren't just humorous exaggerations, they're warnings disguised as satire. Even more striking is how fans are beginning to revisit old episodes not as entertainment, but as a kind of cultural roadmap. Online communities dissect frames, freeze scenes, and search for clues, trying to piece together what might come next. They analyze everything, from character dialogue to background billboards. Conspiracy? Maybe, but it reflects a deeper truth. The Simpsons has, over time, earned its reputation as a show that sees the world just a little differently. So when The Simpsons flashes a date, shows a disaster, or hints at collapse, it's no longer just entertainment. It's a conversation starter. What if it's all been hiding in plain sight? A coded warning nestled between punchlines? Whether coincidence, intuition, or subtle foresight, the signs are there. And as 2026 draws closer, we must ask ourselves, are we watching a cartoon or witnessing a prophecy unfold frame by frame? Part 5, Parallels and Patterns. When you compare the prophecies of Nostradamus with the predictions made by The Simpsons, a few unsettling themes begin to emerge. Both sources speak, in their own way, about social collapse, economic disaster, political chaos, and global conflict. Whether it's the cryptic poetry of a Renaissance serial or the colorful animation of a 21st century cartoon, the message is oddly similar. A major shift is coming. 2026, according to both, seems to be a year of reckoning, a turning point. For Nostradamus, it's wrapped in metaphor. Nations will perish in fire, great leaders will fall, and from the ashes, a new order shall rise. For The Simpsons, it's more visual. Cities in ruins, broken governments, and advanced but dangerous technology. The overlap is difficult to ignore. And while it could all be coincidence, the consistency of these themes across two wildly different sources is enough to raise eyebrows. What makes it even more chilling is how specific some episodes and verses feel when applied to current world events. Political instability, Wars that once seemed impossible now raging in real time, economies teetering on collapse, and environmental disasters becoming the new norm. All of it seems to echo the warnings laid out decades or even centuries ago. Are these merely clever observations woven into satire and poetry, or is something deeper at play? One particularly striking episode of The Simpsons shows a family navigating a world overtaken by drones, digital currency crashes, and news networks promoting panic. At the time it aired, it felt absurd, even humorous. But now, as cryptocurrency markets fluctuate wildly and AI-generated content disrupts everything from media to politics, the humor has a new tone, eerie familiarity. Adding to the mystery is the increasing pace of global change. Technology is advancing at breakneck speed, artificial intelligence is reshaping entire industries, and social tensions are reaching critical mass across multiple continents. In this context, the echoes between The Simpsons and Nostradamus feel less like coincidence and more like synchronization. Some experts argue that when we collectively consume media that reflects our anxieties, whether through prophecy or parody, we subconsciously begin to shape our behavior and expectations around them. That, in itself, becomes a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. The media doesn't just predict the future, it helps mold it. When two completely unrelated sources speak in harmony about a looming crisis, perhaps we shouldn't dismiss it so easily. Patterns like these may be nature's way, or humanity's subconscious way, of sounding the alarm. And maybe, just maybe, we're being asked to listen. Part 6. Science, Symbolism, and Speculation. Of course, not everyone believes in prophecy. Scientists, skeptics, and historians argue that predictions like these are vague enough to be applied to almost any situation. But even within those circles, there's growing interest in the symbolism behind these predictions. Could Nostradamus' burning skies actually refer to increasing solar storms or a satellite weapon gone rogue? Could The Simpsons' ruined landscapes reflect realistic concerns about climate collapse or nuclear escalation? We live in a time when artificial intelligence, bioengineering, and geopolitical rivalry are evolving faster than ever before. The future is becoming less predictable, and that's exactly what makes these predictions feel so haunting. Whether symbolic or literal, the warnings carry weight. They reflect our deepest fears, and maybe our hidden knowledge of where things are headed. The human mind has always tried to sense what's coming, and sometimes it leaves breadcrumbs behind in unexpected places. And maybe that's why both Nostradamus and The Simpsons resonate so strongly today. They speak to the uncertainty that defines our era. From increasing automation replacing human jobs to AI influencing politics and even warfare, we're entering an age where traditional rules may no longer apply. The speed of innovation is outpacing regulation, and ethical boundaries are constantly shifting. All of this creates a perfect storm of vulnerability, socially, politically, and environmentally. Add to that the rise in natural disasters, floods, wildfires, and unprecedented heat waves, and the picture becomes even more troubling. Nostradamus' imagery of fire from the heavens could just as easily be interpreted as wildfires triggered by extreme heat or even meteorological warfare. Meanwhile, The Simpsons continues to eerily forecast changes in society, from the decline of privacy to the overstimulation of a tech-driven culture. And let's not forget psychological vulnerability. With growing anxiety, social fragmentation, and distrust in leadership, people are more susceptible than ever to belief in prophecy, not just because it's compelling, but because reality often feels stranger than fiction. In a world oversaturated with information but starving for meaning, symbols and satire can sometimes speak louder than facts. Some argue that prophecy is less about seeing the future and more about revealing the present. These visions may be metaphors, distorted reflections of our reality. Nostradamus might not have known about artificial intelligence or nuclear codes, but he knew human nature. He knew that greed, pride, war, and unchecked ambition would always threaten peace. Likewise, The Simpsons, often dismissed as comedy, has mirrored societal trends in astonishing detail, from political scandals to technological mishaps. So even if these predictions aren't exact blueprints of what's to come, they still matter, because they force us to ask hard questions. Are we ignoring the signs? Are we repeating old mistakes? And most importantly, what can we still change before 2026 arrives? Part 7. Should we be worried? So here we are, standing just a breath away from 2026. Should we be afraid? Not necessarily. But we should be aware. The alignment between Nostradamus' prophecies and The Simpsons' predictions is strange. But maybe that's the point. Whether these warnings are divine insight, lucky guesses, or subconscious pattern recognition, they force us to look at the world around us more closely. Sometimes, it's not about accuracy, it's about resonance. Why do these images strike a chord now? What is it about this moment in history that makes old words and animated gag feel eerily relevant? Throughout history, warnings have rarely come wrapped in certainty. They appear in riddles, art, stories, and sometimes even in cartoons. Nostradamus used cryptic quatrains to hide meaning from pressers, while The Simpsons wraps commentary in humor and absurdity. Yet, despite their vastly different origins, both have managed to point toward global unrest, technological evolution, economic collapse, and even specific world leaders. Could it be that our collective consciousness is trying to tell us something, and these mediums are simply mirrors reflecting our deepest fears and instincts? Interestingly, some experts suggest that mass culture, including television, can act as a kind of societal subconscious. The fears we don't speak aloud often find their way into fiction, satire, or poetry. What if shows like The Simpsons are channeling the anxieties we collectively sense but don't fully understand? What if Nostradamus was doing the same, centuries ago, filtered through his time's language and limitations? Perhaps the real message isn't about fear, but preparation, reflection, change. If 2026 does bring major shifts, it won't be because of prophecy alone. It will be the result of choices humanity has made over decades. Climate change, global conflict, political division, and technological dependence are no longer predictions. They are our current reality. And maybe, just maybe, these strange predictions are here to wake us up before it's too late. The real danger isn't what Nostradamus wrote or what The Simpsons aired. It's what we choose to ignore. Warnings only matter if we're willing to listen. Whether these predictions are metaphorical road signs or eerie coincidences, they serve a purpose: to make us pause, to question, and to consider the future we're building. Because when a prophet and a cartoon are telling the same story, it might be wise to listen. Sometimes, warnings don't come in the form of thunder or fire. Sometimes, they come in whispers, satire, or ancient verse, waiting for us to notice, to think, and to act before the clock runs out. And while the future remains unwritten, the pen is still in our hands. Partate, the thin line between coincidence and destiny. Throughout history, humans have sought to understand the events unfolding around them, whether through science, religion, or patterns observed in art and culture. The notion of coincidence represents the idea that events happen at random, with no deeper meaning or connection. In this view, everything from Nostradamus' prophecies to The Simpsons' predictions can be explained as clever guesses, creative storytelling, or mere chance aligning with real-world events. Skeptics argue that vague language, symbolic imagery, and open-ended interpretations allow people to mold these messages to fit any situation. From this perspective, the so-called predictions are nothing more than retroactive associations driven by human psychology, particularly our tendency to seek patterns in chaos. On the other hand, the concept of destiny implies that certain events are preordained or part of a larger plan. Those who believe in destiny see significance in repeated themes, strange alignments, and ancient texts that seem to mirror current realities. When a 16th century prophet like Nostradamus and a modern animated series like The Simpsons both appear to warn about a transformational year like 2026, believers argue that it is more than a coincidence. It is evidence of a deeper truth revealing itself across time. This debate lies at the heart of modern interpretations of prophecy and prediction. Are we simply projecting meaning onto random narratives, or are we tapping into a collective understanding that transcends time and culture? The line between coincidence and destiny becomes blurred when multiple unrelated sources point toward the same themes: global unrest, technological upheaval, environmental collapse, and shifts in power structures. Whether guided by fate or formed through observation, these warnings have a real impact. They influence public opinion, spark global discussions, and encourage people to reflect on the state of the world. Regardless of their origin, these messages serve as mirrors of our fears, hopes, and expectations. Understanding this delicate balance between coincidence and destiny helps us become more aware, not just of possible futures, but of the present we're actively shaping. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think The Simpsons are just incredibly good at guessing, or is there something deeper going on beneath the surface? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to hear what you believe. Thanks for watching.